Basketball can be fierce, yet often the real drama unfolds amongst teammates, not the rival squad. Remember when Damon Green landed a punch on Jordan Poole in practice? Or when Mason Plumlee and Bones Hyland clashed on the Clippers bench? As we headed into the quarter break, these significant moments featured NBA players clashing with their own teammates. Draymond Green clashes with Jordan Poole. We begin with arguably the most notorious altercation among teammates in recent sports history, an event so jarring that it altered the course of a championship legacy. On October 5th, 2022, in what should have been a standard practice for the Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green struck Jordan Poole, flooring him in front of fellow players and coaches, creating a divide that would eventually disrupt the Warriors' meticulously crafted prospects. Leading up to this volatile incident was what appeared to be normal competitive dialogue in practice. However, reports from CBS Sports indicate that this was no ordinary banter. Poole, the rising shooting guard pivotal to the Warriors' future, reportedly landed a verbal jab that resonated deeper than any physical altercation could. According to insiders, Poole told Green that he was an expensive backpack for 30, a stinging allusion to Stephen Curry's jersey number, implying that Green was merely an overvalued sidekick riding on Curry's success. For Draymond Green, whose identity hinges on his role as the emotional core and defensive stalwart of a championship squad, this comment struck at the very essence of his basketball identity. After earning over $25 million the prior season, Green was essentially branded as excess baggage, an overpriced role player whose sole worth lay in trailing the true star. The ensuing physical clash was immediate and fierce. Footage later obtained by TMZ Sports captured Green, standing at 6 feet 6 inches and tipping the scales at 230 pounds, landing a fierce right hook that witnesses claim sent Poole sprawling to the floor. The impact was so intense that some believe Poole might have been knocked out, yet he astonishingly rejoined practice afterward, revealing either remarkable resilience or the shock of adrenaline. In a high-stakes environment where the chase for championship titles intensifies, conflicts are inevitable, and that's what transpired with the next pair of players. Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert faced off, and as tensions flared at Target Center during a crucial regular season finale, a confrontation erupted on the Timberwolves bench. Seeing Anderson and Rudy Gobert like that is quite rare. I understand the rivalries in this matchup, and you've experienced your share of fierce conflicts, but I've honestly never witnessed anything like this. I've never been on a team where a player threw a punch at a teammate on the bench. That's a whole different level of drama. April 9th, 2023 was meant to be a moment of joy for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They faced off against the New Orleans Pelicans in their last regular season match, with a win guaranteeing their place in the Western Conference playoffs. However, the evening turned into a revealing clash of emotions boiling within the squad. During a timeout, Rudy Gobert struck teammate Kyle Anderson, resulting in Gobert being dismissed from the game. The altercation arose from a passionate discussion regarding defensive strategies and rebounding efforts. Anderson snapped at Gobert, telling him to be quiet after a heated exchange. Gobert, evidently exasperated and possibly influenced by recent back pain, retaliated by striking Anderson in the chest. This was not merely a spur-of-the-moment reaction. It represented a buildup of frustrations over a tense season. The timing of this altercation added to the drama, occurring in a win-or-go-home scenario for Minnesota's playoffs. The team was already facing turmoil, as Jaden McDaniels had also fractured his hand from punching a wall out of frustration during that same match. The fallout was immediate and firm. Team President Tim Connolly remarked, "We decided to send Rudy Gobert home following the incident in the second quarter. His conduct on the bench was inappropriate, and we will address this internally." The ramifications went beyond that game, as Gobert faced a suspension for the Timberwolves' play-in matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers, a game they ended up losing 108-102 in overtime. Nevertheless, the aftermath demonstrated the growth of both players involved. Gobert took to Twitter to express his regret, saying, "Today my emotions overcame me. My reaction was unwarranted, no matter the comments made. I sincerely apologize to the fans, the organization, and especially to Kyle, whom I genuinely admire and respect as my teammate." Anderson also responded with commendable maturity to Yahoo Sports, stating that we sorted things out. These incidents are common in sports. It seems like some reacted as if this was an unprecedented occurrence. We're adults now. We can move on from this. His view on how the public responded was revealing. We discussed it that evening, and truthfully, watching the aftermath feels a bit weak. Ultimately, we're teammates. That altercation doesn't define our bond or our future in the sport. Both athletes sustained their exceptional performances, with Gobert still being an imposing defensive presence for the Timberwolves, while Anderson, despite several trades, kept his prominence in the spotlight. Up next is arguably the most unpredictable and formidable teammate, notorious for conflicts and the saga of the NBA. Gilbert Arenas against Javaris Crittenton. Are you ready to go all in? And here's the scoop. The knees have been problematic for some time now. Nonetheless, I ought to pivot in the opposite direction. The clash that occurred on December 21st, 2009, involving Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton distinctly fits the latter classification. It was an event so startling and significant that it irrevocably changed the trajectory of both players' lives and compelled the NBA to face tough realities regarding athlete behavior and accountability. The groundwork for this disastrous altercation was laid during what was intended to be an uneventful team flight, where players from the Washington Wizards were immersed in a high-stakes card game known as Gear. This wasn't just a pastime, it was a high-stakes affair. The game featured substantial bets, with pots soaring beyond $1,100, and the fierce competitiveness that drove these athletes toward NBA stardom was palpable, even during leisurely moments. Crittington, already frazzled after a hand loss to teammate JaVale McGee, became a target for Arena's fiery personality and renowned trash talk. Reports, including insights from Karen Butler's memoir, suggest that Arena went so far as to threaten to incinerate Crittington's car while he was inside, an intimidation tactic that escalated beyond playful banter. Crittington's reply, suggesting he would shoot Arena in his knees, indicated that both players had entirely disregarded the limits of acceptable conduct. The conflict between the two competitors escalated to a level where a logical, peaceful solution was out of reach. I'll supply the weapons. I'm quite certain you lack the funds. I'm bringing the weapons, and I expect you to aim at me. That's our plan, and that's how we wrapped up our debate. So Thursday rolls around, then Sunday. Just like any regular day, we're off, soaking in the atmosphere, watching all the players enjoy themselves. Then comes Monday, and on Mondays, we have practice at 10. I tend to show up by 8, sticking to my routine. I do my steam, stretch, and go through all the usual preparations, right? I place the firearms on the chair and pen a message. Choose one. What followed escalated a fierce dispute among teammates into a legendary moment in sports history. On December 21st, 2009, just prior to a practice at the Verizon Center, Arenas introduced 4 unloaded firearms into the locker room, setting them by his locker and challenging Crittington, saying, "Hey, take your pick. I'm going to blast you with one of these." This was not just a fleeting error in thinking. It represented a deliberate intensification that introduced lethal firearms into a corporate environment amidst a personal conflict. Crittington's reaction showed that Arenas had gravely underestimated the circumstances, opting to confront rather than regard the firearms as mere bluster. Crittington brandished a loaded gun, aimed it squarely at Arenas, and declared, "I have one right here." What Arenas seemingly aimed for as mental domination turned into a real-life fatal confrontation within an NBA locker room, where teammates scrambled for safety, filled with fear and alarm. Karen Butler's first-hand recounting of the event uncovers the alarming peril the situation had escalated into. He recounted how teammates sought refuge during the standoff, likening it to his experiences on the streets of Racine, Wisconsin, and highlighting the genuine fear that permeated the locker room. The repercussions were immediate and harsh. NBA Commissioner David Stern, already trying to restore the league's image after the 2004 Pacers-Pistons brawl, issued suspensions without pay to both players for the rest of the 2009-10 season. Arenas faced a loss of around $7.5 million in salary, while Crittington incurred a loss of approximately $670,000. While financial penalties highlighted the gravity of their actions, they were powerless to repair the damage done to their public image and professional prospects. The ramifications from the legal system turned out to be even more impactful than the sanctions from the NBA. Arenas accepted a guilty plea for felony firearm charges, resulting in 2 years of probation, a month in a residential treatment facility, 400 hours dedicated to community service, and a $5,000 monetary penalty. Crittington, on the other hand, admitted guilt to a lesser charge of gun possession and was given a year of unsupervised probation. Meanwhile, just moments captured on camera showcased an escalating rivalry between Mason Plumlee and Bones Hyland. April 9th, 2023 marked a pivotal day in the NBA, with numerous teams vying for critical playoff positions. The Los Angeles Clippers faced a pivotal challenge in their NAL regular season matchup against the Phoenix Suns. A victory was essential to pave the way for a RST round playoff encounter with the same team, entering with a 44-38 record and in pursuit of the 5th seed in the Western Conference. The atmosphere was thick with tension on the sidelines as the Clippers found themselves down 86-82 at the end of the third quarter. It was in this high-pressure environment that a confrontation erupted between seasoned center Mason Plumlee and promising guard Bones Hyland. The scuffle took place during a timeout between the third and fourth quarters, beginning as an intense exchange on the bench that escalated when Bones Hyland pushed Mason Plumlee. Teammates, such as Norman Powell, stepped in to defuse the situation between the two players, who then settled at opposite corners of the bench. The source of their conflict revolved around basketball and highlighted the intense competitive atmosphere of the game. The altercation arose from a breakdown in defense during a late third-quarter play, where both Plumlee and Hyland became tangled up on a screen, granting the Suns an open three-pointer from the corner. This tension spilled over onto the bench, igniting the heated dispute. What stands out in this situation is the swift resolution and its likely impact on team unity. Even after the dispute, both athletes joined forces again in the final quarter, aiding the Clippers' comeback. The The squad outperformed the Suns with a score of 37-28 in the closing stretch, securing a 119-114 victory. The remarks from the players after the game reflected a commendable level of maturity and insight. Mason Plumlee mentioned, "It's already in the past. Our attention is set on Phoenix as we gear up for the playoffs." Bones Hyland shed light on this, emphasizing the competitive spirit. It's all about the intensity of the situation. We're eager to secure that win. Sometimes it comes down to miscommunication. It will take place. You debate, you bicker, and you enlist a partner in the process. Notably, Coach Tyrone Lue offered a lighthearted take. If things aren't going well, take action to change your situation, and following that brief clash, we brought O in and performed significantly better. Perhaps we ought to adopt this approach more frequently. They found a solution. Everything's fine. The conflict was swiftly handled as Plumlee and Hyland talked it over on the flight post-game, effectively calming the situation. Obviously, no team is free from chemistry problems, which is precisely what unfolded between these two players. Dwight Howard facing off against Anthony Davis. I'm unsure about his situation back there. They ended up pushing each other. On October 22nd, 2021, during a matchup between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns, two prominent big men realized how championship aspirations combined with early season challenges can lead to intense discord when Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis clashed in a fiery dispute. The Lakers kicked off the 2021-22 season amidst high hopes, having built a star-laden team that included LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, alongside seasoned contributors like Dwight Howard, who offered valuable championship experience. Howard's return, after having won a title with the Lakers in 2020 and spending a year with the Philadelphia 76ers, was perceived as a clever strategy to strengthen their front-court depth and offer Davis dependable support. The initial outcomes of the super team trial raised eyebrows. The Lakers were having difficulty solidifying their identity, grappling with chemistry challenges as they aimed to blend multiple ball-dominant athletes, while their defensive performance was erratic. The match against Phoenix was particularly aggravating, with the Suns outpacing the Lakers 34-18 in the second quarter, leading 57-44 at halftime, showcasing the defensive lapses that had haunted the Lakers early in the season. The specific incident that ignited the clash between Howard and Davis perfectly illustrated the team's overarching issues with communication and execution. According to various sources, the confrontation originated from a dispute over a pick-and-roll defense during the game, emphasizing how defensive misalignments were becoming a mounting source of frustration for players used to executing at a championship level. During a tense moment late in the second quarter, with about 3 minutes and 13 seconds left until halftime, Nally erupted during a timeout. Davis was seen yelling at Howard, who remained seated and ignored the outburst. As Howard finally rose to react, Davis moved in aggressively, towering over him and gripping his arm while continuing to shout. This heated exchange escalated, prompting teammates to step in and separate the two. Stu noted the heightened emotions on the Lakers bench during this timeout, illustrating the tension that needed to be diffused. Here's a breakdown of the incident. I'm not quite sure what unfolded. They arrive, take their seats, and then Anthony Davis approaches, seemingly to say something to the white player. After that, events escalate, and they begin to push each other. This kind of thing is common during the season. It occurs in practice too. Unfortunately, this incident happens to occur here in full view, but it's a routine occurrence during practices across all teams. They'll cool things off. Teammates and coaches quickly demonstrated the Lakers' proficiency in handling internal conflicts. LeBron James, Rajon Rondo, Malik Monk, and Avery Bradley, alongside assistant coach Phil Handy, swiftly moved to separate the two players, showcasing the veteran guidance and conflict resolution essential for championship teams. The prompt involvement of several players indicates this wasn't the first occasion they faced intense confrontations amid a challenging season. Think Patrick Ewing and John Starks. The bond between Patrick Ewing and John Starks captured the tough, relentless spirit of 1990s Knicks basketball, yet their partnership wasn't without its challenges. One of the key events took place during the 1993 NBA playoffs, highlighting the immense pressure and raw emotion surrounding that iconic Knicks squad. The pivotal incident happened in Game 3 of the first-round matchup against the Indiana Pacers. At that time, the Knicks were up 2-0 in the best-of-5 series, with this game hosted by Indiana, where the Pacers were desperate for a victory. The dramatic clash unfolded when Reggie Miller, notorious for his verbal jabs, repeatedly elbowed Starks, heightening the tension. Unable to rein his feelings, Starks head-butted Miller, leading to his expulsion from the game. The Pacers triumphed with a score of 116-93, yet the Knicks ultimately secured the series victory in a sweep of 4 games. Typically reserved, Ewing, who rarely displayed emotion, reacted vehemently to Starks' ejection, criticizing him for jeopardizing the team at a crucial juncture. This outburst was atypical for Ewing, who had transitioned from a more introverted player early on to a decisive leader. Teammate Charles Oakley also joined Ewing in chastising Starks, who recalled that both Oakley and Ewing were harsh on him following the incident. The strain was palpable, extending beyond the game and affecting their personal relationships. A crucial turning point in this narrative centers around Stark's mother reaching out to Ewing to advocate for her son. Allegedly, she warned, "If you ever touch my son again," to which Ewing replied, "Ms. Starks, should he do it again, I'll react similarly." This dialogue highlights the emotional weight of the situation and the personal implications for both athletes. It's the fervor of competition that ignites such fury, and these future teammates struggle to maintain their composure. James Harden and Chris Paul. The collaboration of James Harden with Chris Paul was envisioned as a flawless combination of exceptional talent and seasoned championship prowess. However, their two-year stint with the Houston Rockets from 2017 to 2019 turned into a cautionary narrative about the harsh reality that even gifted athletes can struggle to harmonize. This volatile partnership reached a climax during Game 3 of the Rockets' second playoff round against the Utah Jazz on May 4, 2018, revealing the underlying tensions in their connection. Footage revealed a tense moment on the Rockets bench as head coach Mike D'Antoni strategized during a timeout. Within the huddle, an argument seemed to flare between Harden and Paul, culminating in Harden pushing Paul's hand away. This incident was highlighted as a striking confrontation, hinting at Harden's frustration. Nonetheless, the Rockets secured a 113-92 victory, with Harden netting 25 points and delivering 12 assists, while Paul contributed 15 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and recorded 6 assists. However, this public incident merely scratched the surface of a relationship that was becoming increasingly troubled. The issues within their partnership ran much deeper than just that fleeting moment. Paul, recognized for his methodical style and commitment to mentoring his teammates, favored structured plays and active engagement in team dynamics. On the other hand, Harden excelled in isolation scenarios, frequently monopolizing the ball and showing minimal desire to get involved without it. Reports indicated that one of Paul's main frustrations with Harden was his habit of rarely crossing half-court while watching Paul handle the ball, reflecting a disengagement that annoyed Paul. Tensions escalated significantly during the 2018 to 2019 season. Insiders revealed that Paul and Harden went almost 2 months without communication, creating a strained atmosphere for the team and the organization. The statistical data revealing their rift was evident in Harden's 586 assists during the 2018 to 2019 season. Merely 14 of these were to Paul, underscoring their rare collaboration on the court despite being teammates. As their tenure together drew to a close, their connection was deemed irreparable, with Paul asking for a trade and Harden issuing an ultimatum to management after the Rockets' playoff exit against the Golden State Warriors in 2019. This ultimately resulted in Paul's trade to the Oklahoma City Thunder in July 2019. The upcoming teammates had to intervene in the game by tackling their player to the ground. Dennis Rodman clashing with the Lakers. Known for his fearless demeanor, Dennis Rodman never shied away from any face-off, be it against other players, referees, coaches, or even his fellow teammates. A notable event during the iconic 1997 season of the Chicago Bulls showcased both Rodman's fiery temperament and the unique leadership that characterized those Bull squads. This incident unfolded during a game with the Los Angeles Lakers, a contest charged with urgency due to the Bulls aiming for their second three-peat, while the Lakers were also vying for a championship title. Tensions rose significantly when Rodman found himself in a heated altercation. The commentators observed Scottie and Michael telling Dennis, "You're not involved in this at the moment." What made this scene captivating was seeing how Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen managed their erratic teammate. Rather than allowing Rodman to risk ejection or suspension that could jeopardize their championship aspirations, they stepped in right away. The commentary emphasized how quickly Jordan and Pippen jumped into the fray, showcasing their instinctive approach to managing the situation. This event unveiled multiple facets of team dynamics, particularly highlighting Rodman's natural unpredictability, even in the context of his own teammates. He had a knack for stirring up chaos. Yet what stood out was the seasoned leadership of Jordan and Pippen, who recognized the importance of handling Rodman's intense persona for their championship goals. The analyst commentary was revealing, implying it was merely an overreaction from Dennis, who was seeking to spark something, suggesting Rodman's behavior stemmed more from his emotions and ambition to influence the game rather than any genuine hostility towards his fellow players. This perspective is essential as it highlights how experienced leaders can mitigate potentially harmful situations. The manner in which Jordan and Pippen navigated this episode showcased their profound understanding of team dynamics at a championship level. Rodman's tenacity on the boards and fierce defensive play were vital for their victories, yet his volatile emotions posed a threat to their hard-earned progress. Their prompt response indicated a readiness to contain their teammate for the sake of the team's greater aspirations. Accepting defeat is never easy, and this upcoming NBA player was determined to avoid that fate. Desmond Bane takes on Santi Aldama. On March 25th, 2025, amidst a matchup between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Utah Jazz, Desmond Bane, a guard for the Grizzlies, pushed his teammate Santi Aldama during a brief pause in the action. Emotions ran high along the Grizzlies bench in that contest against the Jazz, leading to Bane's shove at Aldama during a timeout. Despite the frayed nerves, the Grizzlies rallied to secure a victory with a score of 140-103, overcoming a deficit that reached double digits in the first half. Understanding the backdrop of this incident is essential to grasping the intensity of the situation. The Memphis Grizzlies found themselves in a pivotal moment during their 2024-2025 NBA season, battling for their spot in the Western Conference playoffs. As the incident unfolded, the team had fallen from the second to the fourth position in the standings, now 1.5 games away from a play-in berth with just 8 games left in the regular season. Compounding the urgency, this time was fraught with internal strife, highlighted by the dismissal of head coach Taylor Jenkins on March 28, 2025, leading to assistant Tuomas Isolo stepping up as the interim leader. The team was on a challenging 5-game road trip that heightened the tension. During a timeout in the early stages of the game, with the Grizzlies down 65-64 at halftime, Desmond Bane, exasperated by the team's lackluster performance, had an intense confrontation with Santi Aldama. Sources suggest that Bane challenged Aldama's defensive hustle, with one witness reporting Bane shouting, "Will you even guard anyone?" To which Aldama shot back, "And what about you?" The situation escalated as Bane pushed Aldama into the bench, an incident that was recorded and quickly circulated on social media. Nonetheless, Desmond Bane concluded the game with 21 points, the highest scorer, alongside 6 assists. Share your opinions in the comments regarding this confrontation between Bane and Aldama. The aftermath highlighted not only the high stakes of the moment, but also the determination of professional athletes. In the footage, Aldama rose and headed toward Bane, but his teammates stepped in, pulling them apart to prevent escalation. Ultimately, Aldama returned to his seat and play resumed. Amazingly, despite the initial friction, the Grizzlies made a comeback in the second half, dominating the Jazz with a score of 41-17 in the third quarter and clinching the victory with a final score of 140-103. Desmond Bane topped the squad with 21 points, hitting 8 of 16 from the floor, while Santi Aldama added 9 points along with 5 rebounds. Their remarks after the game showcased the growth and strong bond behind their intense exchange. Bane remarked that as competitors battling the Utah team away, they were motivating one another to improve. He acknowledged he might have overstepped a bit. "I have a deep fondness for Santi. He played a vital role in my wedding, and I will return the favor at his." We shared a heartfelt conversation on the bench immediately after, embraced in the locker room, and all is well. Santi Aldama mirrored this sentiment. This feeling expresses slight dissent, overshadowing a clear perspective. "I won't pretend it's trivial, but we've discussed it. It would be more troubling if we had a group of guys who merely lounged around, doing nothing, and simply dismissed the issue. Our goal is victory. We thrive on competition." We shared our thoughts, and then carried on. If you like this video, feel free to tap on any card visible on your screen for additional content.